Okay, picture this. A sunny afternoon in London, you're there, maybe sightseeing, and then bam! Everything just explodes into chaos, into violence. What do you do?
It's a scenario that pulls you right in, isn't it? And that's exactly what we're exploring today, using this really interesting mix of sources one of you sent over.
Yeah, it's quite the collection. We've got bits from Tom Clancy style thrillers. Authors like Mark Greaney, Grant Blackwood, Mark Cameron sit alongside more factual guided tours of military stuff.
Right. And our task really is to pull out the core of this dramatic situation. It feels almost real world, doesn't it? Terrorism, a chance encounter, an American family caught right in the middle.
And how one person's reaction, one act, just sends ripples outwards. We'll look at the initial, the shock of the attack, what happens right after, and how the investigation starts to unfold.
It's fascinating how these narratives show ordinary people thrown into, well, completely extraordinary situations. And the complexities when these huge global threats crash into individual lives.
Absolutely. Now, before we really get into the thick of it, something that relates to digging into narratives like we do, there's a YouTube channel called Mindful Moments.
Oh, yeah.
It uses AI for book analysis. Pretty interesting stuff if you enjoy reflecting deeply on what you read or consume, encouraging that kind of critical thinking. Just a thought for folks who like this sort of analysis.
Good tip. So, let's start at the beginning of the incident itself. We meet Jack Ryan. He's an American on vacation, seems like a normal day in London with his wife, Kathy, and their daughter, Sally.
Right, totally normal. Taking pictures, maybe a bit lost in the London traffic. Then suddenly, near Buckingham Palace, this violent attack happens, an assassination attempt on the Prince and Princess of Wales, and Ryan is right there.
What really jumps out initially is just how much of a tourist he is.
Well,
The sources make a point of it. He's looking around, trying to keep Sally entertained, that little interaction with the police officer.
yeah, it really highlights he's an outsider at that moment. Why do you think the authors emphasize that so much, that contrast?
Yeah. Well, I think establishing him as completely separate from this world of spies and danger makes what he does next even more impactful. It shows the potential for heroism can be anywhere, in anyone. Then the bomb goes off, the shooting starts, and everything changes for him. His reaction is instantaneous.
Exactly. The text goes into detail. His Marine training just surfaces. Instinctively tackles one guy. There's even that grim detail about breaking bones.
Right.
Disarms another. And he recognizes the weapon, thinks it's probably Eastern Bloc. Even though he's hurt, his focus is completely on stopping the threat right in front of him.
And that detail about the weapon, the Eastern Bloc mentioned, even if it's brief, it adds this layer of, well, maybe not just local terrorism. It hints at bigger connections, state involvement maybe.
Right, it broadens the scope immediately. And Kathy, his wife, her reaction is just as remarkable in its own way.
Oh, absolutely. The second the immediate danger pauses, she's all doctor. The sources show her taking charge, helping a wounded guard, using whatever's available. Just pure competence under, incredible stress.
It really hits that theme again, unexpected skills coming out in a crisis. Neither of them planned for this, obviously, but their training, their core selves, just take over.
Jack's tactical mind, Kathy's medical skills, is quite a combination against the chaos. Then, of course, the scene just fills with police security.
And we start getting information on the attackers. They're identified as the ULA, the Ulster Liberation Army, described as a kind of Maoist splinter group from the Provisional IRA.
And one of them's named John Michael McFrory, an escaped prisoner.
So how do those details shape where the story goes?
Well, naming the ULA immediately gives the attack a specific political context, links it to the Troubles, even if it's an offshoot. And McCrory being an escapee, that adds another wrinkle. Was his escape part of the plan? Was he recruited after? It hints at a network.
And potential failures in the system he escaped from.
Exactly. And suddenly it's international. An attack on British royalty by an Irish-connected group, stopped by an American. The implications just spiral outwards.
The sources definitely emphasize the intense reaction from the British side. Scotland Yard, MI5, everyone's scrambling. And of course the media latches on to Ryan. Instant hero.
Right. But even amidst all that, Ryan himself, despite being injured, starts thinking, analyzing. He realizes the attackers must have known the royals' schedule, their route.
Which points to intelligence, right? Inside knowledge, maybe. It wasn't just a random ambush.
Precisely. It suggests planning, coordination, a network. This raises the stakes way beyond just a few gunmen on the street. And later, there's that scene where the Queen visits him in the hospital.
That's a fascinating moment. He tries to explain why he did it, talks about his background, Irish-American, dad was a cop. this sort of ingrained sense of duty.
Yeah, he frames it very personally. Not about the politics of the attack itself, but about a basic human response to seeing violence, needing to step in.
It avoids taking sides, in a way, grounds it in character.
Exactly. It resonates with that idea of a fundamental duty of care, maybe.
Yeah.
And thinking about digging into these layers, the motivations, the context, it brings us back to resources like mindful moments we mentioned.
Yeah, and kind of what we try to do here, too, taking the time to really look closely at the source material, understand the different threads.
Because the narrative keeps weaving them together. The investigation starts properly, trying to trace this ULA network, figure out their real goals.
And at the same time, we see the personal cost. Sally, the daughter, is clearly traumatized. Kathy is strong, but you see the toll it's taken on her, on them as a family.
It really underlines how one single event, one moment of violence, cascades through everything: international politics, intelligence agencies, and just, the lives of the people caught up in it.
So pulling back and looking at what these sources show us overall, we get this vivid picture of Jack Ryan's, completely unexpected heroism.
And Kathy's cool-headed medical response under fire, plus the sheer terror for their daughter, Sally.
Then there's the immediate official reaction police. Intelligence, the initial ID of the attackers as this ULA group, and the start of figuring out the bigger picture, the international side of it.
Yeah, the key things that stand out are definitely how surprise cuts both ways for the victims and Ryan, but maybe also for the attackers facing unexpected resistance.
Right, and that contrast between whatever plan they had and the messy, violent reality of how it went down, plus the immediate, very personal impact of political violence.
And identifying McCrory, the escaped prisoner, that's a crucial early lead for the investigation into the wider network that the sources highlight.
When you think about that chain reaction, all started by that one moment, it really makes you wonder, doesn't it? What if Ryan hadn't been there, hadn't acted?
Or what are the deeper political games being played, hinted at, beneath the surface of the action in these excerpts? Those are the questions that stick with you.
Definitely food for thought. So if you found this exploration interesting, we hope you'll subscribe for more analysis like this, looking into the sources you find intriguing.
Yeah, and maybe share it with others who enjoy getting into the details of complex stories. If any of the books or authors we touched on caught your eye, check the show notes for links.
And most importantly, just keep thinking critically about the information you come across, about the stories that shape how we see things. Keep asking those questions.